I don't really post to /x/ but I have a story that I really want to share. The start of the story all started a few years ago. The first odd thing that happened was when I was taking my little dog out one night. I was kneeling in the grass beat leaves with a stick or something when all of a sudden I start hearing leaves crackling. Note that my house is out in the middle of redneck Farmville in North Carolina, and we are surrounded by forest on 2.5 sides and partially on the third. There was this alleyway between my house and our garden with the woods as a backdrop. This was the area the noise was coming from. Both me and my dog became silent and just looked around and sat for a few minutes. Couldn't see shit, so it was kind useless, but whatever. Suddenly, my dog starts whimpering while looking around at that area. I quickly run back to the house with my dog. I've had a sense of uneasiness leaving my house at night before, and had already darted to my front door countless times already, so I noped the fuck out. Fast forward some time, me and my family are coming home from Tractor Supply. When we see that our donkeys, we have horses and donkeys, and at one point a pig, had escaped. As we are trying to detain them, we notice a giant fucking hole in the fence. Mind you, the fence was pretty fucking sturdy. It was made out of long 2x4s, don't know if that's how you say it, and had been there for a decade. With minor repairs, and these motherfuckers just split right through it like it was nothing, all 3 boards. Now these donkeys are pretty big, granted easily scared, but not afraid to charge mastiff dogs. Forgive potential misspelling. For something to scare them to the point of busting down 3 fence posts meant it had to be something big. Anyways, some time passes, and either the same day or a few days later when we get back from doing something, the boards are broken again. What the fuck, these motherfuckers broke 3 boards twice with the newest set being fresh. Some time passes, we had a few minor things happen that I can vaguely remember, but not enough so that I can write it down. Then the really weird shit happens. I'm walking back from our old, fallen down, barn, either through long dried grass or through the path. And then suddenly everything goes quiet, dead ass. All the crickets and grasshoppers and other bugs just all go silent. Me, being confused, decided to walk backwards, and then boom, everything starts back up again. Legit in an instance, all the crickets, grasshoppers and God knows what else just started up again. Me, being dumbfounded, decided to try this again and walked forward. Dead silence. Walked back, everything is loud again. By the way, for those of you not aware, bugs out in the country and super fucking loud, not deafening but easily heard. Anyways, I figured out what area I was crossing in which this happened and, no joke, found a line, metaphorical, in which every time I passed everything stopped. I think even some birds might have gone quiet. Suffice to say, I BTFO'd hard. Some time passed, I was outside one night recording a video on my phone of me walking around, and then boom, clash. I heard the sound of metal fucking shitting itself. My first thought was thunder? But not a single droplet of rain or ounce of lightning. I got the fuck out of there as quick as I could. I still have the footage somewhere, I think. Next day I was out walking around and see a stack of sheet metal, like the kind you'd put on a barn's roof, not really out of the ordinary considering it had been there for some time, but I suspect that was what made the noise. Thing is, those sheets are fucking 2 ounces and have cinder blocks on them. Not saying you couldn't lift them up, but it was 100% not wind. I haven't even heard that kind of a noise in hurricanes. But yeah, that about sums up the stories I can remember. It's all been happening over the course of years, so I'm sorry I can't remember much. But it's definitely strange. About a year ago I started digging a hole near a tree to make a bunker-like thing. Built some wooden walls and added a trash bag tarp roof a few months later. I had planned on stalking out one night and hunting for whatever the fuck is messing with me / my family, and maybe even streaming it as proof. But I haven't so far. If anybody has any ideas on what's going on / what I should do, I'm open.
I also live in North Carolina around a rural area and had a run-in with one. While making a late trip to the store, I heard a strange howl / screech that I have never heard before or since. Immediately after, I heard something ripping a dog apart. I had assumed it was a coyote, so I took my pistol with me. After riding along the back road a mile or so, my front tire gives out. Like from full to just nothing in the span of 3 seconds. I slowly inch to the nearest gas station, not stopping in a dark-ass back road. I phone my family and they help with getting a spare on. On the ride back, I am driving ahead of my brother who owns a big truck with ditch lights. They can light stuff up like crazy. Well, on the same back road my brother hits his ditch lights to keep deer away. We get back home and he comes running at me. I just saw fucking Nosferatu. I try to calm him down a bit but he rushes me inside with him. My parents are on the front porch talking with some visiting family, so I go let my dog out. I notice some red orbs out in the woods like a car's brake light, but it's super dim. After talking to him he told me the creature looked directly at him and it was gray/white. It was in a crouched stance and had no nose. It looked super skinny and almost skeletal-like. Well, about a week or two later I am working on my car with my dad. It's around 8 p.m. We hear some crunching in the nearby woods, then a cat hiss, then what sounds like a cat being attacked. I run inside to get a gun, then return outside to my father. He said he saw a big gray dog. I keep my gun close by. We hear some steps again, but after running towards the area with our guns it fucked off. Right after my dad saged our house. Haven't seen much else since. Nearby.
I've always seen these kinds of depictions of skinwalkers where they are grayish-white, kind of reminds me of a salamander's skin, and bipedal.
I also live in North Carolina and have camped overnight all over, never had a paranormal experience unfortunately. Even spent the night in the Devil's Tramping Ground and nothing happened besides finding what seemed to be a small dog's bones tied to a metal pole outside the circle. And an aunt a few years ago that lived in Winston-Salem and had a long thread of his ghost experiences there. There's a video reading of it on YouTube. Where could an anon go and know for a sure experience?
I live in the Fayetteville area. Not gonna say which county, but basically the southern regions around there are pretty good for that kind of stuff. I'm not 100% sure, but I think there are some Indian tribes around here, as in the state, not my county. I want to say Cherokee?
Yeah, there are. I'm not sure where though. I know there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on in the mountain areas. I want to start documenting more people's experiences around here and investigate these areas. I know a lot of skinwalker stuff is made up, but I believe it's something and I want to not fully experience it, but at least lurk a little in the deep woods and see what I can find.
The creature looked directly at him and it was gray/white. It was in a crouched stance and had no nose. It looked super skinny and almost skeletal-like. On one hand, could be dog with seriously bad mange. On the other hand, I used to live just across the state line in a trailer park in South Carolina, and my sister swears up and down she saw something that looked just like this.
I've heard of creatures like that before. In other places, but I've never seen it.
Hey Op, speaking of North Carolina, what sort of folklore or haunted places/weird experiences you've heard of from others in the area?
None desu. I talked to my mother about skinwalkers one time just out of interest and she didn't really seem to care. Other than that, I don't really know much or have heard much else. Not many people really go out into the woods around here anymore since most are young and not really outdoors man. So really the only things I can think of without researching are my own experiences.
There's a lot of generic ghost stories, and I'm decently sure any plantation that was renowned for being cruel to their slaves is ridiculously haunted. Same goes for whatever parts of the state the Trail of Tears covered. As for actual cryptids, I've never heard of any really specific to North Carolina.
Yeah. I'm sure there is some Indian folklore, but nothing that I've experienced/heard of. Most other stuff that I've seen is either dogmen or the knockoff skinwalkers that are gray.
I live in North Carolina and I have told this before on this board. In January of 2019, was out camping with wife and father-in-law in Uwharrie National Forest. We were all sleeping in separate hammocks. Earlier that night my wife kept calling my name as she wanted me to keep watch while she went to pee. At 2 a.m., I was woken from a deep dream hearing my wife call my name. Listened intently, heard nothing from wife and father-in-law, they were snoring away 10 yards in front of me. Shrugged it off and thought I was dreaming it. I was a bit cold as my underquilt had shifted, so I sat up to adjust that. While shifting the underquilt around, I heard as clear as day my wife call my name about 20 yards behind me, in the opposite direction. I sat still for a good 5 minutes and heard nothing else, no movement or anything, just silence. Legit the weirdest and creepiest thing that has happened to me. No clue what was mimicking my wife, nor do I care to find out.
Did you leave soon after? From everything I know, they tend to try to test you the first night, then start making moves later on into the stay.
Yeah, was only a one-night camping trip. Usually don't camp out for more than 2 nights anyways.
Oh shit. I've camped there before, beautiful area, but I could definitely picture something like this happen. Yeah, I wouldn't want to find out either, Anon.
It is definitely a strange place sometimes. We have often commented on how devoid of wildlife it is in some areas. Another strange thing happened back in May with my father-in-law. We were planning on doing a 2-day hike around the Dutchman's Loop. About 5 miles in we both had an off feeling and we just decided to hike back to the car and head home. We parked our car at a campsite that is always packed, but when we got back the place was empty. It was 8 p.m., there should have been at least some people there set up. We found it odd, and even stranger was the entrance off 27 was also empty. It is usually never like this. Weather was supposed to be clear skies, lows in the 50s. Perfect spring camping weather. Something odd was going on and I am glad we listened to our gut.
99% chance not a skinwalker, given your location, but they're a fun meme to blame shit on. The only notable cryptid in North Carolina is / our dog man. And actually the whole insects and birds going silent is common with dogman sightings.